Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, I move the amendment circulated in my name. Speaker, the Future Made in Australia bill is a welcome step in the right direction from the government, one which establishes strong foundations for world-leading Australian renewable energy, manufacturing and export industries. However, at present there is a glaring loophole in the bill that needs closing, and that is that despite being touted as a game-changing investment in clean energy industries, jobs and exports, under this legislation there is actually no requirement for these investments to actually be clean and green. Now, the Australian Conservation Foundation notes this in their submission to the Senate inquiry on the bill, and I thank them for working with me to redraft this amendment, which closes the loophole by ensuring that neither stream of the National Interest Framework can be used to invest in or support fossil fuels, nuclear power or carbon capture and storage. Speaker, my constituents in Tasmania, and indeed millions of Australians right across the country, know we're running out of time to reduce emissions and to mitigate the worst of the impacts of climate change. As I've said before many times, the fossil fuel industry is rapidly strangling our planet, and it's long past time this government acted with urgency on the climate emergency. It's simply unconscionable that Australia is currently one of the largest exporters of fossil fuels in the world. In fact, we're currently third behind Russia and the United States, and it seems all this government has done so far is double down. But most Australians know it makes neither environmental nor economic sense to continue to approve and invest in fossil fuel exploration, exploitation and infrastructure. Even the International Energy Agency is telling us that oil, gas and coal demand is expected to peak this decade, which means fossil fuel projects are rapidly becoming stranded assets. And at the same time, at COP28 just last year, world leaders agreed to accelerate efforts towards net zero in a just, orderly and equitable way. Speaker, it's become all too clear that neither the climate crisis nor the economic reality leave room for continued misguided investments in fossil fuels. And that's why my amendment ensures they aren't eligible for support and investment under the Future Made in Australia framework. And, Speaker, the same goes for carbon capture and storage. Now, to be clear, I don't object to the technology in principle, but I do hold concerns that in its current state it's unproven, and in too many cases it's used as an expensive smokescreen to hide the continued extraction and burning of fossil fuels. The last issue my amendment deals with is nuclear power, because it's increasingly clear that when talking about a clean, net zero future made in Australia, nuclear simply can't be a part of the solution. Indeed, we've seen report after report saying that nuclear is simply too slow and too costly to play any significant role in Australia's transition to net zero, not to mention, of course, the risks associated with waste management. No, instead we need to be prioritising our efforts and seizing on our natural advantages to ensure we don't throw good money after bad. And, Deputy Speaker, I'm optimistic about these advantages, and I'm optimistic about our ability to pull off a just transition and to meet our net zero commitments. Australians know that there is so much opportunity for us in the energy transition because we're blessed with abundant clean energy resources and with a highly skilled and educated workforce. In other words, we have what it takes to be a clean energy superpower and to lead the world in this economic and environmental transition. Deputy Speaker, the potential benefits for job creation and skills development, local communities and the environment are obvious to anyone who's been paying attention. We in this place just need to make sure it's set up and powered by renewable energy and industries, and not off the back of continued investment in climate-wrecking fossil fuels or greenwashed non-solutions such as nuclear and carbon capture and storage. Deputy Speaker, I'd love to believe that we can trust this and future governments not to use this legislation to prop up climate-damaging industries. But I've been around long enough to know that trust in government is built on solid mechanisms of transparency and accountability. That's exactly what my amendment provides for, Deputy Speaker, and I urge all members to support it.